Welcome back to The Vivid View. I'm Kirk Ray Smith, President and CEO of Hope Villages of America, and I'm joined by
Janita Lewis, Vice President of Community Affairs and Assistant to the President.
And I love when you say assistant. There's something about that.
Why do you
all
like
these
when
years,
I
you're
say
still
that?
my assistant? It's been a long time. Yeah, so can you say like your title over again? No, don't do it. But we're really excited to be back. This is season 4. Man, what a year 2021
Absolutely.
was. Oh my gosh, man. We're already in 2022.
Great year.
I read a post on social media and somebody had said that 2021 was doing like 65 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. And it went by.
It sums it up,
and it went by pretty fast. But we are excited to be here.
Yes, new year.
And it's a blessing to be vertical.
Absolutely.
You know, every time you wake up, you have a chance. And so we do have a very, very special episode today, and we're going to talk about homelessness and housing. And so it's gotten worse.
It is, especially with the pandemic. The pandemic and in homelessness has gotten worse because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, and it seems like it was always a problem. I mean, we've been, our organization has been around for over 50 years, since 1967, and we've been really right in the middle of really addressing and really dealing with this crisis throughout Pinellas County. And what we've seen over the last, 3 or 4 years,
Right.
and again, prior to the pandemic, prior to the quarantine, we saw an uptick in the number of people that were having issues around housing.
Right.
And what we try to do here is focus more on families, obviously, because we do live in a community where beds are very limited for families. So if you have children in your household, it's very difficult to find shelter, right?
Yeah.
And so we try to really focus on that here at Hope Villages of America. And so
Keeping those families
together and people stay together. And I think, what family, if they were faced with a choice where, we'll give you shelter, but your children have to go into foster care.
9 times out of 10.
9 times out of 10, they're going to stay together.
Yeah.
They're going to stay together. So we try to keep families together. It's always been my belief that if you're going to enter a crisis together, you're going to come out of it together. So,
Absolutely.
So 2021, man, it's over.
It's over.
Are you ready for 2022?
Absolutely. It's here.
Do you make
ready.
resolutions though?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't.
Why?
I have goals, but short-term goals. And
do you keep them? Like, how successful are you at?
This is not.
It's an intervention. This is an intervention.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to help you get like this year is going to be different. This year.
Am I still working on goals that I set for last year?
Yeah.
Maybe.
And the year before.
No, not the year before. just last year.
Well, I'm not a big, like a New Year's resolution type person or New Year resolution, because I'm not going to stay consistent with it. So I just try to take it like, a month at a time.
Okay. So you know better than me.
A weekly goal. No, I'm not better than you. In fact, you're not better than me either. So in case you thought you were, just want to let you know. So we have some very special guests today. I'm so excited.
Yes, we have Mark Dufa. He's our VP of Housing Stability Services Division, and Melinda Perry, our Chief Operating Officer and Chief Administrative Officer.
So Melinda, Mark, thanks for joining us. I know you guys are very, very busy trying to help as many people as possible. So, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule as we start a new year to hang out with us for the Vivid View, the very first episode of 2022, by the way. So consider yourselves privileged to join us for our first episode.
Definitely.
But when it comes to housing, right, and this is for both of you, what do you think the greatest needs are? Like, what's some of those big needs out there right now around housing?
Well, the spike in rental properties is impacting the homeless population significantly.
In terms of like the availability or the spike in cost?
The spike in cost.
Okay.
And most people have moved down and have bought cash. They've bought the properties in terms of
developers.
Cash. Yeah. And so what's impacting the entire system is rapid rehousing providers and the access to landlords. So that is having a significant impact, and the cost of developing affordable housing. So those are the key factors.
Go ahead.
I would also say, there's a lack of beds for homeless families in Pinellas County. There's about 180 beds available at, any one time in Pinellas County. We operate over half of those, and we still have a waiting list a mile long. We're getting, 80 to 100 calls a month.
80 to 100
for housing, and it's
Yep.
just something that's really shown us that, wow, there's really just not enough housing available.
You mentioned something about rapid rehousing. Can you explain what that is?
So once the guests move into a shelter, they focus on affordable housing, and they have to 90% of everyone who exits this shelter
Here at Grace House.
and here at Grace House secures stable housing.
Okay.
And so that is a key factor in making sure that they secure affordable housing. And that is a key factor.
And one of the benefits of rapid rehousing is that it does help either subsidize your rent for a short period, it helps with down payments or first month's, last month's kinds of things. So there's different types of rapid rehousing, but it does help kind of give that extra needed boost for the guests who are leaving shelters to secure housing.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
So Mark, my question for you is, a year from now, where do you see affordable housing? You think things are getting better, worse? Where do you think it'll be?
Much better. So a year from now, we are going to be developing affordable housing. And this is a huge expansion project for Grace House. So those are the two things. And then we're going to secure Fairway Gardens. So I have an affordable housing and homelessness advisory committee, and we have recruited a realtor, and she is unloading on us access to affordable housing.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's good for a lot of our participants and so many people across Pinellas County and throughout the region. Just giving them hope that we're expanding, we're making more beds available. So because of course the pandemic, things are getting a whole lot worse, and then we're going to be there at the ready to meet their needs. So that's good. That's great news.
And that's actually kind of segue into my question for you, Melinda. So, as the Chief Operating Officer for Hope Village of America and Chief Administrative Officer, I'll make sure that we got to make sure that Melinda's, all her titles,
Yeah, get it right.
and get them all right, and all the letters that follow her name. We want to make sure. But so just kind of dovetailing a little bit in terms of positioning Hope Villages to meet the needs as it relates to homelessness, as it relates to affordable housing. What are you doing to sort of position the organization to be in a position to meet some of the needs that we have now and the ones that we anticipate moving forward?
Well, and one of the things that we pride ourselves on is working through that housing continuum. So we don't just pop in and help a homeless family and tell them, see you later. We want to take them from the street to the shelter, to affordable housing, and then on to market rate housing or even a mortgage. So we really want to work with families through that whole continuum. We currently have an emergency family shelter for homeless families, more than half the beds in Pinellas County, and then an affordable housing complex that the families come from one of our shelters to there, and then pay about 30% of their income in rent. So it's still affordable for them. And then it also allows us the ability to serve those families as they move through that continuum.
Well, Mark mentioned something. Mark, you talked about the 90% success rate, basically,
Yes.
when families come through Grace House. 9 out of 10 of those families go on to permanent housing. And so in terms of wraparound, and I know in the human and social service arena, you hear that term a lot, wraparound, and what that simply means is that, ancillary, indirect, and in some cases direct services that families may need as they're going through whatever the crisis may be. So if a family comes here, then we know housing is the issue, obviously. But then what are some of those other things? Is it financial literacy? Is it education? What is it? So what are some of the things that we're doing specifically to really support wraparound support for families so that they can be self-sustainable long term?
Good question.
First and foremost is a self-sufficiency matrix pre and post testing. We measure huge success in trying to develop careers So we have 6 CNA graduates, and they're going to become RNs.
Nice.
And we focus on careers because
Not just
that
jobs,
is the
but
detonation.
careers,
Right.
right?
Yes.
It's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And when it comes, when you put that into perspective for the amount of rent that it costs, someone who's making minimum wage has to work about 3 full-time jobs to afford a 2-bedroom unit. In
Wow,
Pinellas.
it's terrible.
Yeah.
So that's why,
terrible.
as you become a CNA, as you move on to RN, these are careers that'll put you in a better position moving forward.
I love that. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And those partnerships are so critical
Right.
to ensure that we're able to get the skills that the clients or the participants are able to obtain those skills. So that way, that's of course is going to
it's
put
all-
them in a better position.
And when it comes to
In the long
partnerships, I mean, I always believe you can go, pretty far alone, but you can go a heck of a lot further together.
Absolutely.
And so I think those partnerships, like you mentioned, are critical because you can't do this.
No.
Although
do it
we
by
would
yourself.
love to boil the ocean, you're not going to boil the ocean alone. It's going to take
Right.
a committee of people, and so that's
Takes a
great.
village.
Takes a village, absolutely.
right.
No pun intended.
Takes
You like that,
a
didn't you? Look
There
at
you
smooth.
Like that.
village
Just like
is-
that.
I love that.
America.
Go ahead.
So, so the next question is for the both of you. What obstacles do you foresee getting in the way of providers providing much needed services to the community?
Well, first and foremost is access to affordable housing. So that is having a huge impact. So right now, 2-bedroom apartments have gone from $1,400 to $1,600, and that is having a huge impact. So obviously, providing support services for every guest, that is so fundamental to our case managers. So the case managers are really doing motivational interviewing. They're developing a relationship with every guest, and they grow the careers, and that is a fundamental success.
I think another one of the challenges is the increase in mental health issues that we've seen,
Yes.
especially with the
Goodness.
Wow.
pandemic. I think
Yeah.
you've seen
Oh.
just such a rise in mental health issues and then also substance abuse
Substance,
disorders.
yeah.
So that's really been
Wow.
something that we partner with other organizations to
Yeah.
help meet those needs because, as you know, we can't do everything alone.
Right.
And then I would also just say, funding. Having the money available to provide the services, the wraparound services, the nonstop case management, all of these different things cost money.
Yeah.
So that's just going to be an ever growing need that we have, and we want to serve more. So we're going to need more financial support to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you both, Mark and Melinda, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now get back to work.
Okay.
Yeah, develop affordable housing.
That's
And
right.
We're
Melinda,
gonna-
Melinda, change to your work clothes, okay? What is that?
We are going to expand significantly.
That's
I'm
right.
looking forward to
Yes.
it. But thank you guys. Really appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Melinda and Mark, those guys are working really hard.
Yes, they do.
Like so many of us here at Hope
right.
Villages. I mean, I think we have, if we're fully staffed, we have like 80 employees. But we do rely on over 2,500 volunteers just
So
to keep
critical for those volunteers.
to keep the doors open and keep the mission moving. And I always say that our mission is noble, but the task is arduous.
Yes.
It's difficult. But hey, if it was easy, anybody can do it. I
That's
guess,
right.
right?
That's right.
But we do have a significant need, and when we get this request a lot, so whether you and I are doing a television interview, a radio interview, or wherever we may be, a question that we hear a lot is, what do you need?
Right,
What
yeah.
does Hope Villages of America need? And I know Melinda alluded to some of it, but we have what we call an Appeal 365. And it's what we ask for year round. Doesn't matter what time of year it is, doesn't matter what day it is. We're going to ask for these 3 things. And the first thing, and again, no particular order, but we talk about advocacy. Not advocacy from a political or governmental standpoint, but advocacy in terms of people talking about who we are and what we're about. And the greatest existential threat to this organization is obscurity. People just don't know who we are or what we do. And so I know when it comes to fundraising, it comes down to visibility. If people don't see you, they can't support you.
That's
if they can't see you, they will not come to you if they're in need. And so really having advocates and people talking about this organization and our impact, serving over 150,000 people annually living in Pinellas County and throughout the Tampa Bay area. Not many people know that. And so I think that's important. The second thing is volunteerism. And as I mentioned, we rely on over 2,500 volunteers. And because we have so many volunteers, we are volunteer driven, 90 cents of every dollar stays with our mission. And we're able to put those dollars right back into the community. We do not have any embarrassment of riches.
Right.
And we do not believe in dedicating too much of our finances to administrative costs, although you can't have a well-run nonprofit without a strong back office or back of the house, as I call it. So you do have to be administratively sound. But again, with that being said, we need volunteers. We need people to come out, whether it's sorting food, whether it's serving on a committee, whether it's helping in terms of in a legal perspective, because we have volunteer legal advocates that helps our survivors secure injunctions against their abusers. And I couldn't tell you how many injunctions are rejected because of administrative errors, just wrong date on a form or something like that. And so again, we are very volunteer driven. And then lastly, financial support. No margin, no mission. And it doesn't matter how noble the mission is. Without financial support, we would not be able to pull this off. Now, I believe that you can make an incredible income. Like Janita. Janita, she doesn't get paid by Hope Builders. That's how wealthy she is. She just does it for free. But you can make an incredible income and make no impact at all. You can just be rich and wealthy and live your life and take trips and travel and all of that. But it's impossible to make an impact without income.
True.
And so without dollars, we can't do this. And so that's our appeal: 365 advocacy, volunteer support, and financial support. And so those are the three things that I know that wasn't so innovative. It was gosh, 365. So that's our need. So if you can help us, please help us.
Absolutely. And I know you mentioned dollars. So from a financial standpoint, ways that you can help us financially, we have some upcoming events coming up. The first one is our Beach Walk. That will be held on Saturday, February the 5th. Registration will begin at 7:30 and the walk will begin at 8:30. And we are actually partnering with Chapel by the Sea. Huge partner of ours, supporter of ours. We absolutely love them. And yes, they are. They absolutely are. And our next event coming up will be our Blue Jean Ball. That will be Saturday, February the 6th. 26th, I'm so sorry. Yeah. February the 26th at 7 p.m. And that will be held at Church of the Ascension, another great partner and supporter of ours as well.
So the churches are really stepping up.
Absolutely.
They're stepping up big time for us. So we're excited about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so, I think, for more information, and hopefully it'll be scrolling somewhere across the screen, but you can always visit us at hopevillagesofamerica.org, and it's right there. You can find out about our programs, about our services, how you can get involved, of course, how you can donate and events. And so, again, hopevillagesofamerica.org.
Yeah. And numbers to call, our Hope Villages of America main line, you can dial 727-584-3528. And our 24-hour hotline, you can call 727-442-4128 or 1-800-500-1119.
Yeah, so I guess we're getting to the end of the first episode of 2022. And so I would be remiss if I didn't share just a little bit as we close. As far as I'm concerned, again, I can be wrong, and I'm not trying to speak as if I'm some kind of literary genius or anything. But there's only two types of people in this world, those in need and those in a position to meet the need. Now, all of us are going to find ourselves on both sides of that coin. I know I've been in need more than once, and folks have helped me out, but we're all going to be in some kind of need. You can feel alone and feel lonely, but it's impossible to live alone. You need other human beings, period.
Right.
Even if you live by yourself for your entire life, if you get behind that wheel in that vehicle, you're going to be dependent on other people to drive safe so you can get to where you need to be safely. So you're always in need there. But what happens is when people come to us, and it's very rare that anybody comes to Hope Villages if they're having a good day. They don't visit Hope Villages because things are going well. And so what happens when you're in those predicaments, and sometimes things happen to us, right? And some things happen because of us. But regardless as to how we ended up where we are, it hurts. It hurts. And one of the things that we talk about here heavily is that it doesn't matter your circumstance or situation, this too shall pass.
That's right.
There's nobody around you right now that's any better than you. We're 30 seconds, right? 30 days
Yeah.
away from that being our reality.
Yeah.
And so what we often see, though, is we see people that are at their worst and they're hurting, they're in pain, they feel weak. And what happens, unfortunately, in our society is when we see people too often in need, we kind of lord that over them, and we kind of try to use it as a tool to sort of dominate them or control them because we help them in some kind of way. But the reality is this: if you're still vertical, as I mentioned at the start of the show, you have an opportunity.
That's right.
You are valuable. You are important. You are not put on this earth to be controlled by any human being at all. And you are just as important and just as valuable as any person on this earth. And so we want to encourage you to realize your value. If you're having a tough situation, it's okay to reach out. There's nothing wrong with reaching out for help. But understand, when we give you help, there's no strings attached. The only thing attached to our help is you got to promise us one thing, is that you're going to do the very best that you can to never end up here again. But more important, that you're going to learn how to love yourself and value who you are and value adversity. There's three teachers in this world. The teachers that you learn by way of studying, doing research. You learn. Experience, oh my God, what an incredible teacher experience is. But the greatest teacher of all time, undisputed, is adversity. And so sometimes you're going through adversity, you're just simply learning.
That's right.
So God bless you all, man. And we look forward to seeing you guys again in February.
That's right. Stay tuned for episode 2.